What's up, guys? Solar Polar Bear here, and I wanted to go through a little bit of the details of the Station Siege Mechanics that I just watched. And I just want to let you guys know also, I am not in the closed alpha. I have not even been able to get into the game yet, but I kind of wanted to do a bit of an outside view of what's going on, as well as some details that I kind of wanted to just churn up and throw out into the air so people can think on it and understand what's going on. So obviously this is a work in progress, and they're not going to be releasing the Station Siege Mechanics until afterwards, and we're talking about a few months, maybe even a year, who knows. They have a roadmap, and they're following it as best as possible, trying to give us the best game loops and mechanics, and ironing it all out, so it's not buggy or crappy when it gets released. With that being said, I kind of wanted to dive into this. Usually people watch the video and give a reaction, but honestly, I don't want to do that. That's boring. I just kind of want to give my 2 cents on the whole subject and kind of give you guys an idea of the games I come from and how these mechanics would kind of stand out from that. I'm actually very positive with this video that I saw. I'm excited because these are refreshing mechanics. These are interesting, and these are what I feel like are very well-rounded and very fleshed out mechanics. Anyways, let's get started. So stations, when you build them, are going to have a safe zone around them. And that safe zone can fluctuate depending on whether or not someone's attacking you. Now, the companies that are going to be attacking you need to be able to match the size class of your station to the size class of their capital ship. And their capital ship has to be classified as a military capital ship. So that way, some crappy civilian capital ship cannot attack you. Now, I'm only assuming that these safe zones allow for no combat, or at least nothing can be damaged within that safe zone, so that keeps certain people from damaging you unless they're declaring war. Now, one of the big mechanics here that I was actually very afraid of is I was wondering what would happen with my company. My company is actually relatively small. We have maybe about 50 people. And what would happen if only 2 people are online, we have a station finally, and a larger company decides to attack? Well, the mechanics that they're going by is they're going to allow us notification before the attack. So the capital ship is going to jump, and it's going to take time to jump to that station, and it depends on how far away it is and what the level of the security of the station is, but it's going to still notify the owners of the station. So that way I could get my guys together and be able to properly defend it in time. And that time they said is around 24 to 72 hours, and that can fluctuate depending on, like I said, the distance or the security or anything else in between. On the topic of smaller companies, they're going to allow the smaller guys to be able to kind of move that time slot, and I'm not sure exactly how just yet. It will allow a little bit more freedom for the smaller guys, that way they're not completely screwed out and get attacked by a huge corp. Now for the larger guys, they're going to have a little bit less customization for that window, so they're not going to be able to kind of time it that way. They're just going to have to be stuck to whatever time slate they're stuck with. But that's my assumption of it. It can change, or I could be completely interpreting it wrong. So once that capital ship hits that safe zone, it's going to be nullified, and it's going to turn into a war zone. Now, in that war zone, anyone can come and go except for capital ships. Those capital ships, which are civilian capital ships, can either stay there or leave, but the players cannot leave it or enter it. So you're kind of taking a risk being there, but anyone else can come and go as they please, which means salvagers, if you guys want to sit on the edges and just wait for something juicy to blow up so you can take, you can do that. You can hide on the station. I'm assuming that you can actually join into the fight. If given the ability for these people to be able to attack and defend, depending on what they feel towards this faction, it would make for a larger scale war that's kind of interesting. It'll also allow for smaller orgs to be able to protect themselves with mercenary groups. So a bunch of players, let's say 15, 20 players, could rove around offering their defenses to sieges like this, and they could potentially make money. That is a completely new gameplay loop that you could probably do. This is under the assumption that we will be able to join into these fights without having to either register to this org or do something else. My take on it is I can enter that war zone whenever I want, given that I'm not in a civilian capital ship. And I could probably do whatever the hell I want too. If I wanted to potentially take that station, my assumption is I can take that station between the warring factions. Now, they employ a cube-based system here for capturing, so you can capture a facet of the cube and then move from there. There's no other details I can really give on it other than the fact that it's just one side touches the other and then you can capture that. That's really it. But if you hold more than 90% of the people in that area, you can move on to the next, which allows you to capture certain zones and then move on to others. Now, from the other end of the spectrum, I can think of defenders is if you had a key point that you wanted to defend and you wanted to keep these attackers out, you can consolidate consolidate everything there. Now, they said later on in the video that you can actually build defenses onto the station while this war zone is going on. So that way, if you have a strategic point that you want to hold and you know you can keep it from being captured, you can specifically set this up to turtle or stay in there and make sure no one can breach it. Now, this would allow for a unique warfare strategy because you're not just completely assaulting an area and then expecting to just capture it once you deplete enough troops. You can set up certain areas within this cube zone of capture and you could properly defend them. Now, on the defense, you can also attack the capital ship to get rid of it. It's not all the capital ship just parks there and then freely attacks this. You can attack the capital ship, you can destroy the capital ship, you can also steal the capital ship. Now, they said the capital ship capture works the exact same way as the station, so if you're smart about it and all the enemy troops are in your station right now, you could probably just slip out with the rest of your guys, go to the capital ship and take it before they can actually react. That would be an interesting mechanic as well. So this doesn't make it a whole one-sided thing where this military capital ship comes in, starts attacking, and then you can't do anything but defend. So once again, this adds a bit of strategy to the attacking. You aren't just set in this one seat where you have to just defend a certain way. This adds a lot of different gameplay loops to this warfare element. And that's what I'm actually excited about, is that I was generally afraid because I was like, okay, well, a capital ship can just park next to my station, initiate the war zone, and then start attacking it. And now we're just beating back waves of people until they're depleted, and that's that. Game over, But no, that's not what this is going to be about. This allows for warfare strategy, which is something I'm super fucking hype about. Now, once this war is all done and the station is either captured by its current defenders or the attackers, the safe zone will begin to build itself back up. Now, within that zone, it still allows people to attack the station, and I'm only assuming that once again, you can have other players jump in there and try to steal the station out from underneath them. If you have a warring company that comes in and they've lost over 80% of their units, and they're sitting here trying to defend this thing to the last fucking T, I'm hoping that you'll be able to swoop in there, eradicate the current defenders, and take the station for yourself. And even the capital ship. This will make warfare a little bit less two-sided, so that way you don't just have attackers and defenders and you're watching from the outside waiting for something to happen. I'd like to see groups of people be able to intervene, defend, or attack depending on how they feel towards this company. If you're generally a bad company and you're an asshole to everyone in the universe, I want to see people be able to defend against them, groups of people, and potentially even take their shit. This will keep an interesting power struggle dynamic. You have games like Mortal Online 2 that have massive amount of people in guilds, and their only dynamic for warfare is just zerging. Hundreds of people just running at each other until someone dies. There is no goal and there's no way to really intervene. If you're a smaller group, you're going to get fucked. That's it. That's how it's going to go. But with this, it really allows you to change the dynamic. If you want to be a smaller mercenary group and you see a capital ship jump into a station and it's sitting there and they're at war, I'm hoping that you'll be able to jump in there, intervene, and tip the power scale to your favor. Now, as this safe zone continues to build up, there's going to be stuff left for harvest all around the station. They're going to allow you to be able to tear apart ships, be able to access the mineral clouds that's around the station and the ships, and it generally turns itself into a resource-rich area, which allows other gameplay loops to be able to jump in and take stuff. Now, if your game loop for your org is salvagers or just yourself, you're going to be able to profit off of this warfare. It's not just going to be all, like I said, one-sided where they just fight and you kind of watch from the outside. You'll be able to take whatever the fuck you want from that battlefield. That includes all the mineral clouds that are going to be around the station and the capital ship, as well as any chunks of any other ships that are around. So while they're recuperating from the fight, you can go ahead and just take whatever the fuck you want from the battlefield and go about your goddamn business. And at the end of this, once the safe zone is fully built up and protecting the outlying areas, the station is going to begin to rebuild itself based on its blueprint. So if you blew a huge fucking chunk in one side of it, don't worry, it's going to repair itself and everything is going to return back to normal. That is, until another group decides to attack you. Anyways, guys, like I said, I'm not part of the closed alpha, but I kind of wanted to give my little bit of interpretation of what's going on, as well as some other mechanics from other games that I've experienced where I feel like Starbase is actually taking the fucking cake. They're doing a really good job, and they're pursuing a smart avenue for their warfare and siege mechanics. Until then, guys, I can't wait to see you on the 27th. Remember to share and subscribe, and if you guys want to follow my adventure, I'm on Twitch and other social media platforms. Solar Polar Bear, out. Stay frosty.